All right, so I will call the May 20th, 2025 Northumberland County Economic Development Commission meeting to order. We do have a quorum, and actually Melissa just went out to her car for a second, so we have everybody. Right, so everyone's here. Okay. All right. So we have a special guest tonight. We've changed things around, so we've got the discovery session first. So Bob, I will turn it over to you. And for the first 30 minutes of this meeting, we will have our discovery session. And Heidi, feel free to come up. Bob, I'll turn it over to you to do introductions and.
Sure thing. Let's all give a thank you to Mr. David Woolard for taking his time to come and talk to EC. The purpose of the meeting was just to get some information and some facts and his take on the sanitation, the sewage within the county. At that, we provided him some questions. Mr. Basie provided him some questions, and I'll turn it over so you can go and give us his information. Thanks for attending.
Well, I guess we'll roll off with the very first one. All right, the very first one was, what was the current capacity of the treatment system in Cali and Reedville and these plants? All right, capacity is a kind of tough word. We have permitted 200,000 gallons a day for the Reedville facility and 60,000 gallons a day for the Cali facility. With both upgrades that we did have done at both of them, it did bring our capacity up some, but you got to take in consideration for rainwater and big storm events. So right now, we're currently at half capacity. We're receiving around 100,000 gallons a day at the Reedville plant, 30,000 at the Cali plant. So we're about halfway there.
So they run
So
50%.
we're at half capacity.
Half capacity by permit.
You're at half the permit capacity.
Correct.
What is the operational capacity?
We have to submit the DEQ anytime we're near 95%.
No, that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking Dave is that, and this is post the $850,000 grant that you all got. What did that? What I'm curious is, what was the capacity before the grant, and then what is the capacity after the grant?
Exactly the same.
They're the same. So what was achieved by the grant?
Well, for the refill facility, what we did, we were able to convert an old part of the system into an EQ tank. So basically, we can probably hold about 3 days worth of flow in that tank if we need to. So we have some buffer, but eventually you still have to discharge it and get rid of it. And what I'm getting at in DEQ's eyes is that we are permitted it, those two numbers that I gave you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we also have nutrient limits for nitrogen and phosphorus. They all correlate with those flow numbers. So as your flow rate goes up and your nitrogen goes up with it, you got to offset those numbers by some other type of treatment. Subsoil injection, spray field irrigation, or something like that. So it's a close knit to try to meet all that, because you're not just looking at flow, you got to look at that permanent limit for nitrogen and phosphorus also.
Okay.
So how close are we on that? So, sorry, different question. In the past year, how many times have you had to do remediation at 50% capacity? Because the nitrogen or something got too high?
We've been fine on the numbers.
Okay,
Thank you. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but I think the nitrogen limit is around 2,700 pounds for the whole year. And you can peak it certain times of year, but by December 31st for the calendar year, that number's got to be below 4.
so there hasn't been any issue with remediation at the 50% rate. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Not at all. I just lost train of thought.
You're a big company.
Yeah, just keep.
We do that pretty regularly.
Just pile it on, I'm good for it. But getting back to I&I problems, that's infiltration and inflow from rain gutters being tied in, somebody's got a sump pump. We did record a 400,000 gallon a day event at the Reedville facility during that 4.5 inches we received there in 2 days. In the Callio one, we seen like 58,000 gallons. So
How often does that happen?
anytime we get an inch or two of rain in a short period of time,
So over the past year, how many times has that happened? And just an estimate, not
I would say 4 or 5.
4 or 5, okay. Thank you.
There's big rain. And that was some of the main reasons why we did the upgrades is to handle those spikes. That's what the EQ tanks come into effect. They take those surges where, as before, when that X amount of gallons came to the plant, it was there. We had to treat it and get rid of it. Now we sit there and hold it back for a little while, but eventually we have to get rid of it.
You know, but the bottom line is, post grant, there was no increase in capacity.
Yeah, all things that we especially.
Before we go to the next question, because this kind of dovetails into this, Dave, has there been, how many new taps? Because I know the tap fees are about $7,500 a tap. And how many new taps have actually taken place post that grant that the county got?
I would say probably a dozen we put into today.
In Callio?
No, not in Cali at all.
That's what I was asking, Callio. Okay. 0.
And we still have 20 to 25 homes in Callio that paid for a grinder pot to be installed. They were installed, but the individual homeowners are never physically connected to it either. So we've got to keep that in consideration.
Sure.
As we start to grow,
Yeah.
we've got to save that space again.
What is the gallons per day math that you use for a single family household?
It all depends. It all depends on how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, but anywhere from, you can see 150 to 350 a day. Depends on-
But that's what, I'm just trying to figure out capacity wise, it's 150 to 350 based on bedrooms, okay.
So it sounds like we can handle the demand that we have now, but growth is a risk discussion.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. I don't think in Callio that we can probably take any like industrial use, more or less on residential, we should be fine.
How many?
That's somebody with a whole lot of letters behind the name can answer that for me.
Now, you're limited because if you're average, let's say you average 200, right? That's already 4,000 gallons a day just for the homes that are already there. And if you're, what you said the capacity was, the full capacity is 60 in Callio.
Right,
So basically you've got, and you're using it 50%, using 30 right now.
right.
So if you did 8 more homes, or, yeah, you couldn't handle very many. Because,
You know, that's the point.
right, no, you can't.
But
Because
not
the
even
20
the 20 to 25,
No,
they're
it's the
still
20 that are
waiting.
already there that are waiting.
Yeah.
You're lucky if you can get another 5 or 6 in there.
Absolutely, and that's been my concern all along, Karen, and part and parcel of that, David, and again, I will put this out there. You're an outstanding employee, I mean, I blow your whistle all the time, and obviously, you know, I know most of the answers to these questions I'm asking, and I'm not trying to ask them in any other way other than I want to get this stuff out on the table, because that's how we make progress. How many, and I don't know that you would even right off the top of your head know this, so I'm just shooting for a ballpark here. How many sewer taps is there in the Callio district? Because I know where the mains terminate at, pretty much, but what would you say, how many taps, individual taps?
It's 175 paying companies.
Okay,
And you said there's how many that have paid but haven't actually?
20 to
20 to
25.
25.
At least 20.
Yeah.
They are currently paying their sewer bill each month.
So are they in the 175?
No,
No, oh,
oh, they are, so we don't have
So-
to.
okay.
So what, and this is
The flow is,
tragic.
okay.
is
well,
done,
but
right?
if that's the case, and I'm just throwing this out there hypothetically, okay, because I know that some of these are, because I know for a fact some of them are vacant, and like the one that's been designated for the park. But if we use maximum capacity of 350 a day, and you do that math, that's 71,250 we're over budgeted, we're over capacity now. Okay, and that makes sense to me. Now, I'm gonna ask one last question that's really important to me. And I know it has caused you and your staff a lot of trouble. And I've went through the county documents that I've been able to get online. I haven't been able to answer this by myself. The fee schedules were very well done. But there seems to be one thing that's conspicuously absent there is the laundromat fee schedule. I'd like to have two questions that if you can answer them. How much of the available capacity going on 60,000 would you estimate that laundromat uses? Estimate, doesn't have to be down to the gallon.
When we were able to gather information on that, at the time, they are considered a significant user.
Okay.
Which is X amount of gallons a day, but at that time, this 30,000 that we were receiving every day, that laundromat is about half of our flow,
That's what I thought.
daily flow.
Okay. So with that, because there's no metered, that's still a guesstimate because there's no metered water usage because that's coming from Agua, Virginia.
No, she has a private home well.
Right, okay. So, and this is really important to me because I know that has been, caused you all a lot of work. Do you know what the fee schedule is? Because they've done a good job on that, but that to me, that is something that really needs to be revisited just from an operational budget standpoint, because, you know, if that thing, like the highest fee schedule I saw on there was like, you know, $500 a month or something.
That should be the one that's on.
Would she be the industrial user?
No, it should be one for laundromat, correct?
I didn't see one online and unless I'm missing it here, I don't see it here. Let me make sure I'm not having a stroke here.
I think the industrial one down there is
I would guess that it's, because this is a generalized.
Yeah,
list, right?
and this is what I saw online, Dave, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's on there because I researched it pretty extensively. And I guess, guys, my point is, if we've got a commercial facility that is essentially using half the capacity and preventing further development of commercial, potentially, developability in this town, and they're paying, let's go on, let's say that we're sure they're not an industrial user. Let's say that they're the large commercial over 7,000 square foot, and they're paying $112 a month. And for the event center, I'm paying $98 a month. There's something wrong there. The math don't add up. Thank you very much.
So, the safety margin, is that in code? In other words, we're at 50% now. And so from an engineering perspective, I would assume that you can't have 100% usage. You've already talked a little bit about that, but what are the numbers as far as you got a capacity of X, but you can only use Y? What is that?
when we start seeing 95% of our capacity show up as flow rates, we've got to document and report to the
Okay.
for further action.
Yeah, that's a different question now. What's your comfort zone, you as a manager?
Versus what's in the code.
Right. You know, there's gotta be an alarm that goes off in your head before
Yes.
you get to 95%.
Yes,
If it's still raining and you're at 80%, you're doing.
yes.
I mean, we have the ability to remove water at a faster rate than what we do on a normal basis. You don't want to do that because you risk,
Yeah, yeah.
rock contamination with the treatment process. That decreases as you increase.
So, on treatment process. This is gonna start off sounding like it's not related, but it is. I recently had a few houses pumped out. They're on their own private sewer. I was speaking with the guy that was doing the pumping, and I said, so where do you take this stuff? He said, we'd have to take it to Gloucester because.
That's right.
Northumberland doesn't have capacity for it.
Right.
So can you explain to us a little bit about the realities that are involved with that?
We have capacity. But when you pump a septic tank, all right, just for reference, our facilities can handle up to maybe 300 parts per million BOD load. We can treat up to 15 to 25 parts per million ammonia. In something that's septic, that comes out of your septic tank, those numbers could be 3 times, 4 times the amount, so it's stronger material. You just can't dump it into a wastewater plant, it will just kill it. There's things that you can put in place to handle it, but when it came time for us to look at doing these upgrades, with the amount of money that we could generate for receiving septic, it wouldn't
That's
pay,
where my
it wouldn't pay for itself.
it wouldn't,
No,
that's unfortunate.
no.
Wow.
So on the existing septic, based on what the numbers are, on the existing, you can fit another 10 houses in Calios, should they choose to be on the septic. And based on the math, you could have another 250 homes in Reedville. And you're comfortable, again, this is not, for anyone who's watching and for anyone who's recording this, this is not in any way, shape, or form an official position of the county. You're, just because you've done this for a while, 250 more homes, would the system be able to handle that?
Yes.
Okay,
The fact that, the funny thing about rebuild is that majority of the homes down there are second and third homes. So there are not people down there permanently. When COVID hit, they were, don't get me wrong, but it's.
but so here's where I'm going with that,
Yeah.
because just because they're second and third homes now, doesn't mean they will be in 10 or 15 years.
Exactly.
So what, based on your COVID experience, what did that look like with respect to, should that number really be 100? And I'm looking at people that live here, right, all the time. Right? Again, I get that when you're here on the weekends, you're not using that much, but that doesn't mean those homes are always gonna be that way.
Exactly.
What was your experience in COVID?
It was ugly. We were still with the old treatment plant. We were struggling, real struggling to be permanent. Because it was all that extra load. The treatment plant wasn't able to handle it. So we had to do all kinds of things.
So you have this additional EQ thing, and I don't know what the initials stand for, but you have that. The rain events happen, let's say 4 times a year. If initial 250 homes were put in, and I'm not saying there's gonna be additional 250, but in terms of future planning, if an additional 250 were put and they were full-time people, would you be at capacity all the time, or would you be running at 80%, you think?
I'll have to know all these numbers.
So based on just the back of the envelope math I did, you'd be at capacity. You'd be at
Yeah.
100%, not 95.
Yeah.
So,
Potentially more if you've got a higher percentage of those that are not full-time residents now.
That's right.
Suddenly becoming full-time residents along with the.
right, that's what I'm
That's
getting
your
at. So
point.
in terms of planning purposes,
Yeah.
what types of analysis go into permitting for a new home if they're gonna be on the septic system? Because who's keeping track of it's 250 more versus 100 more versus 30 more in terms of permits? Does that happen or no?
That's not what.
So there's,
That's a Philip Marston question.
Yeah. What-
well, no, because he's right here and he manages the septic. So if you're not getting coordination, right, if the county isn't doing it, Drew, you might know more about this, I don't know. Again, I get it's a Philip question for the permit process, but if you're not getting any type of consultation, and I don't know, John, you might know this.
Well, the reason there may not be any active tracking of it, because there's no plan to have that many homes right now, and there are not that many applications, so no one's
And-
immediately
And
worried.
the homes would have to be, because they use a force main system, they still use force main in Reedville too, right?
We've got it very diverse. We've got gratitude force main, we've got air vac vacuum, we've got E1 ground.
So it's a hybrid, okay? So, and the point being is that the existing infrastructure that's in place, like in Callio, there's only certain parcels that would be even able to hook up to it,
Right.
because the infrastructure is not, it's
Right, so-
fixed.
Again,
Yeah,
you had asked for this meeting, so we can
Yeah.
think about future planning.
absolutely,
I'm
absolutely.
thinking, not today, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Are we good for 10 years? Are we good for 15? And I'm on my own stuff, right?
Right,
Well, I
right,
don't have to worry about any of this stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at future development, both planning and economic for the county, it sounds like we're fine. And for, however long I live, it probably isn't gonna be a problem unless we get a whole bunch of people that decide they wanna move in there, or another big industrial user, which probably won't happen. So we're good for 10 years, we're good for 15, what are you thinking?
It's hard to say. I mean, anything can happen. But I mean, the plant that's been designed for rebuild in Callio, we have set aside and looked at, hopefully that this will help us for the next 20, 25 years, because
Okay.
the original one that was put there in 76, it was upgraded in 2014, and really didn't do anything, so we just tried to plan for the future.
Is Omega's growth constrained by capacity, or are they okay out there?
We have a working permit with them for the health and science center. Right now, since we had the upgrade done, they are able to increase their flow rate to us. Right offhand, I can't remember how big an increase it was, but we did give them a bigger increase once the upgrade was done.
So relative to growth, we can all kind of look down the road and go, it kind of looks like this. If nothing changes in 10 years, it's going to look like this many more. But if this group here is successful, hopefully it would be even more than that. So I don't know how to quantify that.
But maybe if we ask it, Mr. Woolard, are there types of businesses, in your opinion, that would cause a big bump up and cause us to reach our max capability?
One laundromat in Reedville.
Yeah, for example, I mean, one laundromat may do it, or what will a restaurant that seats 25 people, do we have that type of information?
I really don't have it on hand, but I'm thinking about car washes. A lot of them put recycled water in, so whatever does come in, they recycle it back. But restaurants, anything industrial that has a process different than just regular
It's, see, guys, I just look at this, maybe even different than what Mauricio said. See, I don't see this as we're okay, because we're not okay.
I don't see it either.
We are not okay, okay? We're, I'm not the brightest bulb here, I can tell you, and I don't have a doctorate or anything, but I can do math, and I can tell you, Callio's at capacity. It's probably over capacity. And I guess this has got nothing to do with you. It does have something to do with the previous board. That laundromat that is in Callio was permitted by a previous board, and unless I'm mistaken, and I don't think I am, it was on a conditional use permit because that is not industrial zone land there. And I guess the heartburn that I've got about this as representing District 1 is, that I know that there's been some recent requests to hook on to sewer, and that has been met with the facts that you just laid out here. And thank you very much for doing so. My concern in the short term is, and it doesn't have anything to do with you, but it's just an abstract question. For planning purposes, does your department have any means of communications with the Board of Supervisors to say, guys, we've got a real problem with this laundromat here. It's taken up 50% of the current capacity. We know this thing's been grandfathered and permitted by a previous board. We can't do anything else in Callio. Is there, I guess what I'm struggling, is there a way that, Dave, that your organization communicates that data back up the chain?
It will be through
Electrical. But I'm assuming that has not happened, right?
It's been some talk about it.
So wait, you've obviously got some data that I don't. 60K, we're at 50%, that's 30K. Even if we have,
But 50% of that 60K is the laundromat.
right, so 25% of Callio's capacity is,
That wasn't right.
Of the 30,000.
right, 50%,
She's doing 15 to 20,000 gallons
A day.
right, so
A day.
that's 25%, that still leaves 75%. So my question, Dan, is, you said that Callio is at capacity, and I'm trying to understand if we still have 50% left, and there's still another 30% left, if you do the math on those other houses, and you're saying that we're at capacity is because people are getting turned down.
They weren't turned down. There was concerns raised at the capacity, and again, there's no sense of being encrypted about anything. In full disclosure, I had two developers that had interest in making an age-restricted living community at the golf course. and they did preliminary due diligence at the county level, and they walked away. Both of them did because there was concerns raised about the capacity. And it is a real issue. It's an issue. It's not a make pretend issue. And I guess what I'm trying to get out on the table here is, it's not a problem you and I can solve. It's not a problem Dave can solve. You know, I got the utmost respect for David. David is a volunteer firefighter here, as chief officer. There is nobody I hold in higher regard than that man sitting right there. Alls I'm saying is, District 1 Commissioner, we got a problem in Callio with sewer, okay? Rebuild sounds to me like it's okay for the moment, but we got a major issue in there, and there is nothing going on in Callio in the immediate future until that gets resolved. Because the shrink swell soil, if you talk to any soil scientist that is pervasive all in that area, you cannot have a traditional drain field septic system and an engineered system that's going to cost you, if you're very lucky based on the science of the soil, 48 to 50,000. If you're not so lucky, it's going to cost you $75 to $100,000.
So your solution is the laundromat has to get kicked off?
No,
Or there can be no development?
well, no, I think what needs, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, there needs to be some serious discussion about increasing the capacity, but again, there's a whole nother box of worms jump through with DEQ. I'm very familiar with them. What I am saying is, with the laundromat, Karen, is that if the laundromat, I would just like to know the details for, you know, to get the date on this. If the laundromat was permitted under a conditional use permit, which it's my understanding that it was, yeah, that would have to be researched, I guess, true with you guys, okay? If that laundromat was permitted there, I would like to know what specifications are, because the way I see it, if you've got a one business that is essentially paying $1,200 a month and using 50% of the capacity,
No, 25% capacity.
or, okay, 25% of the capacity, I don't see how that's in the best interest of the county or anybody else. I don't understand operationally, from a fiscal standpoint, how it even works. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
So 2-minute warning.
I
Okay.
want to make sure that we're all understanding something here. 25% of 100% is not within safety margins. And what I'm trying to say is, you've got somebody that's using 25% of the capacity, that's 15,000. And if we just leave it at that, we're almost making the assumption that it's possible to connect until you've got 100%. And that's actually not what we've been saying. That's totally different than what you've been saying.
Right.
And the impression I get, although we haven't looked at the actual code, is that 50% is about where you want to be operationally maxed out.
To allow
Which
for
means that the working capacity,
Right.
safe capacity is actually 30,000.
Right.
Which means no more development and rebuild either, no more housing permits then. Based on that logic, no more development and rebuild.
It's an issue. It's, I
But
mean.
that, if you follow that logic, right, so
If
we're way
that
beyond.
logic holds in
where you
rebuild,
need
then
to
that's
be right now.
Yeah, that's your point.
Right, so
Yeah.
it sounds like the next step, so thank you very much, because I think this information was very helpful. I think, Dan, it sounds like there's some specific issues in Callio with respect to the permit, which I think that's a follow-up for you and Luttrell to have.
Yeah.
And we got the information about the grant, right? We know what's there. We know where the capacity is. Maurice, based on what you're saying is then Reedville should have a dead stop on development too, because they're already at 50%.
Well, I would want to caveat my previous comment with, the larger the overall capacity, the narrower that upper end
As the margin is.
becomes, percentage wise.
Okay.
In other words, so it's not number for number exactly right, but the concept still applies.
Okay, so I don't think we have any more questions. Unless, go ahead.
I don't know if you went through all the questions that were provided to you. You probably need to let him.
Yeah, they were good questions.
Well, if they pertain to everything, so I want to make sure that, because we're sensitive to time, we're almost at time.
Well, I make a motion, Madam Chairman, that we be not ask Mr. Willard any questions, just let him read the questions that were provided and let him give the answers.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, I think we covered the very first two. One of the other questions, how much does the current tap fees cost? Right now, across the board, it's a $6,000 connection fee. and whatever else it takes to make the connection. So say for instance, in Fleetwood, if we don't have a vacuum pot that's there for them to hook to, they have got to pay the 6,000 plus the cost of the install. So that could be anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 all set.
Nice.
But that's not all coming back. We get the 6,000, the rest of it is in vendors. Yep. We talked about the grant capacity, how many's come on since then. What is the current annual budget for each system? We're combined both, fleet, Reeville and Cali is all the same. As for an actual budget number, I do not have that, but I do have the figures from 23, 24, which showed what came in and what was spent. If y'all want those numbers.
I'm not seeing it.
All right, I forgot my glasses. So what came in for the fiscal year 23?
You're almost my age, so you can wear mine. Mine are reading.
Not mine.
You see? Well, okay.
Income was $780,499.36. What was spent out was $554,465.28.
Damn, you're a profit center.
Well,
Does that include salaries, Dave?
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
No, that doesn't include salaries. No salaries, right, okay.
is there a difference in the user fees for residents and use versus commercial? Yes.
Got them.
Got the paperwork to you. What is the county's current policy on private force mains and what are the current tap fees? Basically, a private force main will be left up to the individual who's trying to get that accomplished, gathering all the information, what it's going to be used for, especially for extending sewer past what we have now. So basically, it would have to come to the board of supervisors for approval. And basically, the individual would have to concur all of the costs for that to be installed. And then the tap fees would come off of, whatever needs to be done. Whichever one needs to tap on. Is there any different fee structures for high capacity users such as the long back? Yes, we do to some extent. The next question was a repeat. And the last one was how many employees does the sanitary district have to maintain the system? It's 6 of us altogether.
Have now what question, please? Just one question. Has there been consideration for looking at other cities within the county such as Lotsburg, Burgess, or Eastville?
The only other sewer system that we maintain is the one at the middle high school. And we're in the process of doing an upgrade for that to get away from having a history. So we're going to combine we're going to pump everything from the middle high school to the drain field at the elementary school.
Dave, I've just got one last question, and it really doesn't have to do with economic development. I was asked this by several of the homeowners on Harry Hogan Road. And then again, this has nothing to do with current board, has to do a lot to do with the previous boards. Harry Hogan Road is a peninsula, for those of you that are viewing out there that knows it, and it's all watershed right into the bay. And there is a significant amount of failing systems down there. And the residents down there were promised many, many years ago about the infrastructure, which stops now, I believe, at 706 or somewhere in that zone. It's about 1/3 of the way down Harry Hogan.
It's 3 houses past Lot Road.
That's right. Okay. They had, the previous board said that there was, with that grant they got, there was plans to move that force main down there to try to, alleviate some of the leaching, because I can tell you where I live, I've got signs that say don't eat shellfish. So my question is, and nothing to do with economic development, it's just one. Is there any plans for the county to honor those previous commitments made by another board? No plans.
I haven't heard
Just comment, you're an outstanding employee, you're an asset to our community. I personally appreciate your service to chief. Many years that you did, and I thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very informative.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's been in light.
So,
Thanks, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
It's the signs that say,
You already wrote those down, your responses?
Yeah, but you probably not be able to read it.
Okay.
are the signs that say don't eat seafood the same ones that are put by,
Okay.
yeah, don't eat chicken. Eat more chicken.
Eat more chicken, right?
All right. All right, so I will entertain a motion to accept the agenda as written.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting notes from the April meeting.
So move.
Second?
Second.
Discussion, I had one typo that when I reviewed it in the shared drive, I fixed the typo and I think it took, and I don't remember what it was right now. So, with that change, that's only, any other discussion? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're on to Commissioner's Corner. Maurice?
Yay.
Yay.
I spoke with Jennifer Bramlett of Care Chats, and after we spoke, she sent me an email, which was rather enlightening. She points out that the map of businesses in Northumberland County is outdated, and there are several places that aren't even listed on the map, including Chitter Chats. She's not on the map. She doesn't know who actually compiled that map, whether it's the Chamber of Commerce or this entity, but
You know,
I know.
you could answer that for me.
I could, yes. She further went on to complain a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce, saying, do we even have one? They're invisible. Just saying. She points out that Lancaster County and Kilmarnock partnered to promote their River Realm website, and she's wondering if we could do something similar or maybe talk to them about partnering with them somehow. This is just from the community. She points out that business owners in Lancaster have elected meetings where they collaborate on stuff, almost like their own do-it-yourself commission. And she points it out in lamenting that she doesn't see that happening here. And maybe it should. But she's grateful for us. She's glad that we're around to talk to. I also spoke with another couple, and to save my soul, I don't recall their names. But they own a couple of pieces of property that are not opened yet, but they are going to be opening them. For example, one of them, they bought Barn Store. It's going to be a pizza parlor.
Oh, wow, that's great.
That's going to be kind of cool. On the notion of grants and things, the reports of the demise of DHCD are premature. It's not dead. In case anybody was wondering about that. And at an event at that last high school thing that we all did, I spoke with some people about just idle conversation, something that I've observed since I first started coming to this county, and that is that as much water as we have around us and as large as our economy is driven by a lot of that fishery stuff, why don't we have a campus here teaching the sciences as well as the occupational components of pulling fish and things out of the water? When I mentioned that to them, they said, well, there's this guy we know. He's actually pushing exactly that. And they gave me his contact information, and I was struggling for the past couple of weeks trying to figure out where I put it. I found it today, so I'll be getting in touch with him. Anyhow, I think it would be really great if we could get some kind of satellite campus here from somewhere else to support that.
Cool.
That's all I got.
Which map was she referring to?
You know that one where we've got the eat, stay, whatever?
Do you see? Yep. If you could give me your contact information,
I can give you her
Yeah.
contact information.
and then I'm the one who updates. but I gotta know
I
about
knew that,
business.
Bob, I wasn't gonna throw you under.
Oh, yes. Yep, no, that's a key point. I mean,
You're trying to protect it.
when you have businesses come into your district, think, just remind them, say, hey, reach out to this guy, and he'll get you on the map.
Bob, are you aware that Todd Thomas has the complete list of all the businesses in the county?
Who, John?
Yes,
Yes.
Commissioner of Revenue.
That's the one we got from Stuart last year, yeah.
yes,
They were- Correlate them.
I haven't done I haven't done the bounce off on that somewhere.
So the issue with that one, this is the same thing we ran into last year. A lot of those, they're ownership of property and not businesses.
Yeah, sure.
So thank you. So
So it's not real accurate, right?
once a year we get, well, it is accurate for who's registered. But
Right.
it's not necessarily like a business where you can go do, right? So that's why we bump it up against the Bayworth one. So I think it may be good. I thought somehow our map was updated differently. So I think that's a project we'll have to, if we get an intern, they can take on. Okay. No, thank you. Because what we did was we were gonna bump up, I think that gets updated in January every year.
Well, too bad.
And we were gonna bump it up against the list that we had to see who changed.
Knowing Todd, it's perpetual, continuous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a.
We were only gonna compare it once a year though,
Oh.
because I think there was too much to do it. Well, last time I did it, it took a little bit of time. You had to bump them up. So,
Sure.
okay. Thank you for that, John. Thank you.
The gentleman that you had, the contact information for the person that does the teaching, what was that Captain David Rowe by chance? Because he does a floating classroom on Bay Cliff
No,
Charge,
it's not him.
that he works with, I think RCC as well as government school. But so he may be another good.
This guy,
contact.
the guy that the RCC people referred me to is part of the VCU
Okay.
cycle. So we'll see. It's a flare. We'll see if it catches anything.
District one, we have a fledgling new business that seems to be sprouting. It is called Rediscovered by Dawn. I have put in a couple of phone calls to her, but I'm sure she's really busy getting things up and running. For those of you that may know where Calio is, it's where the old drugstore is, right on the corner.
Oh,
And it's Dawn Fisher, who is the wife of Sam Fisher, who's a dock builder locals. There's a local person, sorry, but it's going to be a gift and thrift shop. And I've left a couple of voicemails for her now, and letting her know that we certainly wish her the best and anything that we can do to help her. The Calio Hometown Association with the park it's making some really good progress. They have got preliminary drawings on what essentially will be the amphitheater or music stage, and then the main building coming into there. They've got two pretty major fundraisers that are coming down the pike. One of them's going to be at the Brewing Company, and things are moving along nicely with that. But
Okay.
other than that, that's it for District 1.
District 3, I reached out to HUD because I saw that they had a community development block grant, like 2 million, that was recently released. And I wanted to know when they put that in, because of the fact that right now, the grants that we're trying to obtain from rural development, USDA is, they're on hold. So we can't do anything other than continue to compile the data. And I know that we were going to start in Burgess and the Lampkin Town project for the community development. And then we were going to be looking at the scattered sites. And each one of us were submitting 5 per the management board, as far as the ones that are really in pretty bad shape that need some of the grants. But again, from what I'm getting from them is that all we can do is just submit them and park them until those funds are actually released. Now, yes, loans are still out there.
I recently, within the last 48 hours,
Mhm.
got an email from SEID, that's one of the little children of DHCD. And apparently they're in preliminary application phase right now. And I find it somewhat frustrating that I sign up for these notifications And they come like a week before you need to submit your preliminary stuff, so that's kind of short notice to me, but, have you, then I sent you an email today saying, do you get
Today?
these kinds of things? Yeah. So I sent you one of the other ones that I got, but, it's kind of interesting that this one came out and they got $21 million for the state of Virginia.
Wow.
Right. Now, are they submitting for that or they received it?
They're expecting people that want to apply for a grant to submit for that, and there wasn't a whole lot of info, and I didn't have time to
Okay.
go and dissect it, but I don't know how much one particular locality
Right.
can get just yet, but
Right.
it looks like at least a few $1,000s. I don't know.
Okay. Did you have anything about that meeting?
Heard any more
And
since it-
we're just parking them, I mean, we're submitting them, but, you know,
like you were saying, just compiling the data to be
Exactly.
ready to
So we're ready.
submit when the window. opens.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, and that's one of the biggest frustrations, is you really truly need to have a project
Yeah.
defined when you submit.
Mhm.
So you know, it's almost like you need to generate your own template of, we're gonna do this, and we think it's gonna cost this, and it's gonna be over here on this property. You need to have all that information before you even know that you've got a grant to apply for.
yeah. And that's what, you know, that's what we're doing, is just compiling all the data and submitting it, but of course, you run into, you know, a lot of the residents, you know, everywhere, and they wanna know what's going on, and, you know, you get tired of telling them, to turn on channel 6, but, you know, it's just, they're parked, you know, right now, and there's nothing that we can do other than just continue to compile the data and submit them. That's it right now, because of the fact that, again, there's, you know, loans are out there for the 504, but as far as the grants, they're still for right now. That's what I had.
And I don't have any business updates this month.
You've got to be kidding.
No, that's not true.
Business updates.
Oh,
I'll take any
Guys,
updates.
we have to distinguish between what I do as the chair and what happens in the.
let's move to the next line.
Right.
Yeah. Just the comprehensive plan is on a fast track now, expect it hopefully to be for public hearing and final approval in our July meeting.
Wow.
And the current only chapter the commission has not yet reviewed, the only major chapter is the water quality chapter, which will be on the next meeting. And it includes language that Maurice and I put together around this research facility. So the commission will review that at our next meeting. Maurice has been very helpful in reviewing. I got him involved in this and he may regret it, but he's been involved in most all the stuff that he's proposed has stayed in so far. And like I said, we're all but one chapter done now, so.
Oh, good.
That's good.
Thank you. All right, Robert.
Hello. So several things. The American Junior Golf Association tournament, we've got the map updated, our due state map, where we have the link for Indian Creek Country Club. And there's also a little banner inside that says, hey, talks about the AJGA tournament with a link to go to the AJGA tournament and tells you about the tournament events and that information. Waiting to hear back from Steve, see if there's anything else he wants to add to that. One of the things that I still need to talk to him about is go over there and see exactly where he wants us to set up for the booth on Monday, the 23rd is what's gonna, my intention is I'll be there the whole day because I'm a golf nut.
Oh, gee.
And I just like to hang out and see the talent there. Let's see, and I'm also coordinating with the county administrator on placing a banner in front of our Northumberland County website that talks about, hey, coming soon, check it out, and then again, a link. Yes,
Do we have any students from Northumberland that will be attending?
we did. Yeah, we do. We
Okay.
have, I think it's one student, or was it two students? I can't
I'm
remember.
not sure, we connected
Yeah.
the golf tournament with the athletic director.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a text from one of my little relatives the other day. He ended up getting a 4-year golf scholarship.
Oh, that's great.
Outstanding.
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so the way, so for
Four-year
everybody's,
golf scholarship.
the way that's gonna work too is, each of the high schools in the county were able to provide at least one golfer's name who's going to play in the junior pro-am round, which is on Monday. So that'll be a great experience for them. Hopefully, a potential for them to get bit by the golf bug. See how that.
Each high school in the county, you mean in northern?
In Northern Neck, I'm sorry, in Northern Neck, yeah.
Very narrow population otherwise.
Thank you. I picked up and I provided to each of you the Northern Neck tourism brochures. This is a part of money that provide, since we're a Northern Neck Heritage Agency, locality now. I got those from Lisa Holt. They made about 35,000. I picked up 2,000 before you leave. Combine see me in the car because I got some for you. And I did give some to the Chamber of Commerce. I dropped off about 150 copies. We'll have those at the farmers markets. We'll also have those at the tournament too. But as much as we can get it out to everybody.
And we said we were gonna put some but I think we were going up 3 toward north, correct, for at the rest stops?
Yeah, so we could place at those two areas that I mentioned and on 64. But it's just something that would have to be voted upon if you wanted to spend the money.
No, because I'm leaving Thursday evening. I have to go to
Yeah, but we have to pay before we can put them. That was the
Mississippi.
deal.
Okay.
It was gonna be I think it was $150.
I did
I
not.
think it was $150 for 2 locations.
Oh,
It was 120 per.
Oh, it's $120 per
per
location.
location. Okay.
Thank you.
And so we were, did we want to take a vote on that tonight? I mean, I don't know what we,
No, that's-
yeah, let's put that for an action item in
Yeah.
June because we need to take a look at where our budget is. And yeah, it's
Okay.
120 per location. I mean, you can always sneak some, but they'll probably.
No, I don't want to do that.
So one of the things I'm gonna do is I'll be traveling to Florida and on the way down there, I'll probably drop some off along the way. So if you want to take some when you go on your trip,
Yeah.
I'll be happy to give you a box.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Business and Heritage Exposition that's coming up. I'll leave you with the brunt of the stories about that, but I did provide a draft Northumberland County information slides for y'all to review. We're trying to come up with a brochure that has some enticing facts about the county that helps drive or inform potential business owners on what the county's all about. That's inside our OneDrive for y'all to take a look at.
I'll give you my edits before I leave.
Yep. QR code analytics. I didn't have coding the URL tracking parameters within the QR code.
Yeah.
But I could still do that. I think the tricky part was going to be the service that we own for MapHub.
Okay.
We have the El Cheapo.
Yeah, and you have to have different QR code for each location to know where it came from. I found that out too.
Correct.
So,
But at least
yeah,
we would be able to tell when someone came to the site from a QR code versus someone just typing it in.
okay, so we would have a generic tag on it so that at least we'd know if it was from the QR code. We wouldn't necessarily have to identify which location the brochure was dropped off at, but at least we'd know if it was the QR code that brought in the lead.
That is
Okay.
correct. That is correct.
Can you run the numbers on that? And when we have our discussion in June about this budget, we can see how much that would cost us.
I certainly will.
Thank you.
And then, however, on maphub.net, I was able to get some statistics. And within the last 30 days, we had 85 views.
Oh,
In the last 12 months, we have 3,013.
That's good.
And since November 2020, we have 11,411.
are those real or bots? Or can we distinguish?
Can't distinguish.
Okay,
I'm sure we
we can look at it.
I run a few websites, I can guarantee you at least 30% of it is from China.
Is that right?
or from me testing every time I do it.
30%.
That's still not bad though. I mean, if it's 30% is that, then there's some traction out there for it. That's okay.
Yeah, so we should expect a bunch of buses with Chinese people in it?
No, I don't even believe that the ones from China are actually human beings.
That's funny. Okay.
Bacon Concerning Workforce Development Board held a healthcare talent development meeting that I attended. The purpose of that was they're doing an analysis of the Northern Neck to see what kind of healthcare talent is needed for students, to better inform what kind of programs are needed for the different universities and different schools around here.
I want to connect them at the job fair that we just had at the school. I talked to the folks that were there from the healthcare program, and one of the things I wanted to see if we could get them to come talk to us about is mobile healthcare units in the county. So we had talked when we met with the board of supervisors and the planning commission back in January of 2024, one of the areas we talked about was healthcare. And even if you're not going to get new healthcare here, having like a mobile clinic might be an idea. So I've got the card for that person. We want to follow up on that. And maybe we can also make sure, like, I'm not sure, if we could connect him with Jacob and his group, but just to explore the idea of maybe having a mobile clinic. So I forgot about that. And I also made contact with the person at Link in Kilmarnock to see if there's anything they can do, like how we could partner with them or share information about the stuff they do. So I gotta follow up on those or give them to you. So thank you.
It's a very good meeting that they had, very good plan they have. One of the questions I was asked was, well, it's nice to know that you guys are working on the talent, but what about the facilities? That's one of our big issues, to your point.
Which is the mobile, right?
The mobile, or even having like different clinics around here would be helpful. Let's see. Bacon Consortium Workforce and Miller had a partnership, a very good success story. Bottom line is Bacon Consortium Workforce was able to provide money to Miller so they could train 16 team members.
Oh, that's that intern program thing.
That's their intern.
Nice.
So it's a
16
lot of inertia going on from Bacon Consortium, and also, getting the word out. It's been very helpful. With respect to the summer intern, I created a program of instruction that I provided with you. I've been working with the university and the candidate. The candidate said he's now interviewing with other agencies, and bottom line, pay more money.
Yeah.
But he did say he's very interested in still working when he's done with it. The only thing I need to talk to you about is, I need to find out when the money will be, how soon we have to spend that money for the summer intern program before we have to turn it back in. I don't know about that, but still gonna be interested. Yeah.
It may not be there.
Yeah. Yes, that's all I have.
You're up.
No, you did not Zeus me. I reached out to YMCA to get an update on the Dynamo that they're putting over the pool. They are in the final stages of construction. Anticipate a soft opening early June sometime. In the work at Kings, and then they're looking at doing a ribbon cutting grand opening sometime thereafter. And they are interested in potentially inviting members from the EDC to be at that function. So they'll be in touch with me for that to extend the invitation.
Oh, cool. I went to the groundbreaking. They held it indoors, but it was cool. Yeah.
Soft opening, does that mean there's gonna be a hole in the roof? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
You're in trouble.
Was that it? I have a
Oh,
question.
yeah. I found something I knew you probably weren't picking up on.
Is that it?
That's
You
it.
good? All right, question.
I have been also approached regarding the grant for new business. And I know we was going to be looking at that to see, I guess we're just gonna edit it to see what we can do, but I've had
I
someone.
haven't made any progress on this.
Okay, sorry.
So I don't know where we are with, I got it.
Robert,
Maybe it's something I can get you to help me with then we gotta get with the county treasurer because there's money in there, but the application process is terrible. It's so bad. So, all right, I'll take an action item to look at that one. So.
You mentioned the medical facilities, and it reminded me that one of our neighbors here in Eastville,
I know what made them send you.
Eastville, is a neurosurgeon, and him and I were having a conversation about that very topic. It was my position that we need to have some kind of a triage-like facility because waiting for an ambulance and then having to get on an ambulance and drive to RGH can kill somebody that's having a heart attack.
And then the heart
And
attacks
he-
they'll have after they get the ambulance.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Chief Alderson is a business hog, but he pointed out, he says, if you just socialize the idea, maybe somebody else will come in and do it just because they don't want the competition. which I thought was an interesting approach to getting or modifying human and or business behavior. I know exactly who he was talking about, but I'm not gonna go into detail. Just thought it was an interesting approach.
Okay, all right, so I guess it's up to me for current projects. All right. So the golf tournament, the day that we need people there is Monday, right? You just said, okay. Do you know what times yet? I don't think it's till 9, right? That's when they start checking.
Yeah, 9 o'clock is when they start, is when the tournament begins, so I will be there probably at 7:30.
This Monday.
No.
The
no.
23rd of June.
23rd.
23rd of June.
So I know they're in my district, so I know I'm gonna be there. We're gonna have a booth, right? Right.
Yep.
Right, so we're gonna have a table and tent, some stuff like that. So I'll be there. Robert, you and I'll work on like times. I'll probably be there at the beginning like you are, and I might stay for the whole thing. So if anybody else wants to come, I think you can. I think we only have to have our booth up for a couple of hours when people are checking in.
Correct.
So, and then after that, they're all out and about on the golf course, so there's not like there's gonna be a lot of people there. You can volunteer for it, there's a lot of volunteer slots already filled, so I'm not sure how much more help we'll need at the golf tournament. So, let us figure out what's going on, and then we'll send a call out. For the farmer's market event on the 21st, I have Premise Bank is gonna be there, the Y is gonna be there, Maycorp is gonna be there. Dan, I'm gonna send forward an email that I had sent to the Abilities Bound team, because I'd like if you could pop in there and follow up with her
Absolutely.
to
Yep.
see if they could make it, because there's such a great entrepreneurial story there. It'd be great to have somebody
Do you
there.
want me to just go there tomorrow and check in?
I'll forward you what I sent them, so you've got, I sent like an info sheet about what we're doing and why
Sure.
we're doing it. So for Premise Bank, we're gonna have, one, they run that, they have a board of, local people that they do for economic development, so business kind of development. They're gonna have, they were gonna have one of their small business lenders there, but I'm not sure that person can make it. I'd like them to have a presence, because A, they run that board, and we've got several people that are prominent in the county that are on the board, and then B, if there's anybody there that's interested in, business loans, et cetera, for the county, they could probably follow up with them. So I did find out, I don't know if I told you guys this the last time I talked with Corrine, I've developed a logistics sheet. About 80% of the people that come to the farmer's market are local and or weekenders, and then there's another 20% that come from outside of the county. So what we're trying to do is make sure the folks that are coming from outside of the county understand that we're open for business. It's easy to do business here. If you want to come live here and work here, great. If you want to come live here and start a business, that's great too. So I have at least 3 organizations that are going to be there, plus us. Right, I've invited the chamber. Omega is a no on that date and time. Cowards was not able to make it. The Boys and Girls Club we're still waiting on, and I have not reached the kayak group. We're trying to get in contact with to see if they can come. And I have one more business that I was going to try to see if they could make it. I'm not sure. There's not a ton of room, so it's going to be right there in front of where the blacksmith shop and stuff is. So if we have 4 or 5 tents in there, that may be kind of capacity already. So we have more of a presence from organizations than we do businesses, but again, we're trying to start small. If we can at least get something there. I worked with Corrine and we did a little like press release write-up. So there's the monthly magazine, what's the name? Bay Guide, I think it comes out once a month. She was gonna submit something for that because it's an event in conjunction with the farmer's market. So we're gonna have all the publicity for the farmer's market that day. It's gonna include everything about our event. There's also going to be live radio announcements from that spot. You're going to be our spokesperson, so if we want to work on talking points, we can, but I want to make sure you're the one that is the lead on this. I'll plan on being there in the morning to help everyone set up. They have to bring all their own stuff, et cetera. But then I have something I have to be at. So I will not be here the full time. And for businesses, if they can stay the full time from 9 to 1, that's great. If they can only stay 9 to 11, that's great too, because I think a lot of people probably come early. So Dan, I will forward you what I sent to the Abilities Bound team so you can take a look.
But just for clarification, you just need me to pop into with Abilities Bound, not premise.
Right, I've got
Okay.
premise covered.
Okay, gotcha.
The Y's covered, so I'm working on the logistics sheet for those groups. And then with Linwood for the Maycorp team.
Mhm.
And then the 2 businesses that are no, frankly, one of the reasons, actually, they weren't 100% sure what to do, right? It's kind of a free like form, anything that demonstrates what you do in this county, right? In terms of what your business does, right? So it could be It could have been a video, it could have been a live demo, it could have been, because we've got blacksmith stuff there. And it was a new event for both of them, and one wasn't sure who to send, and the other one wasn't sure exactly what to do. And so they wanted to make sure that they were involved in future, but they weren't sure about this one. So I've got one more business I'm gonna check with, and then after that, I'm gonna call it quits, and we'll just go with who we have that day. And let's see, the county info sheet we already talked about. So the reason for that, we had this on our list, our strategic tactical list, I'm sorry, what do we call it, our strategic action plan? We had this on the list so that we could make sure anybody coming in would be given information about coming to do business here. So we're gonna use this both at the fair and the golf tournament. And then I think that's pretty much it. I've been talking up with the golf tournament and stuff, how to highlight businesses that are here. Like there's a lot of free stuff for families to do. So for the families that are coming from out of town that need free stuff to do, make sure that they know that that's here. And I think that's all the old business that I had. Anybody have questions on something I missed?
No, but as far as just being present and, having their business cards and things of that nature just available.
I think it's still, like we had with the job fair in the fall, right? It was hard, I think businesses are still getting used to the idea that we're, actually doing stuff. I'm hoping that the chamber will come, because I think that would be a great opportunity for them to highlight more about the county. So we'll be there, and, we're starting small, right? It's the first time we've ever done something like this.
Got to call before you walk.
Yep.
So you can let that other lady know that if we get the chamber, that she can attend, and that's where they'll be.
And if frankly, if she wants to come and have her business, like have a, say, hey, we're here in the county, we're always looking for help, or, we started here, because I think Chitter Chat, the guy, that's a homegrown business, right? That's an entrepreneurial story. Maurice, if they wanna have a booth there on Saturday morning and highlight their business and what they do and their story about how they started and then expand it into tomorrow, it'd be great. I'll send you the information sheet that I have been sending out to try to, get people in. So maybe that would be something she'd like to do.
She seems pretty aggressive. She was, and creative, so yeah.
Okay, I'll send you the info sheet.
We're there, so if you wanna come,
Yep. And it's nothing
It's an
complicated,
email.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll send you the info sheet. You can drop it off, Dan. I'm gonna send it to you.
Thank you.
And I think that was everything on my to-do list. Did I miss something? Okay. All right, new business. Any new business?
If you haven't heard, Crazy Crab is not reopening this year.
They are not reopening?
So we're trying to find somebody to run it, but he doesn't want to do it anymore. He's not had any luck.
Yeah, that was another topic that our Chitter Chats lady talked to me about. She's very distressed over that because she was counting on people leaving him
business,
with
yeah.
full bellies and coming to her for ice cream.
Yeah.
And now she's trying to figure out how to generate other business at the end of the street.
Plus, we built markets for sale too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
The building right next to Crazy Crab was purchased. And in the front of it, they're gonna have a metal, I think like a sheet metal facility in the front, but in the back, they're gonna be selling seafood. So it's gonna be dual purposed. I learned that from the gentleman, his name, he goes by D9. I think his name's Jack. And he's the one who owns the coffee roasting business.
The coffee what?
Coffee roasting business down in Reedville.
I didn't know.
Yeah, we got a coffee roaster.
Oh, that's
The
great.
shop, it's not open, but
It's not open for
but you
you to
can
drink or
order
buy.
coffee from
Oh, I was
They
gonna say,
roast it and ship it.
oh,
He was planning to reopen. I talked to them at the last farmer's market. He said when they were renovating their home, they discovered lots of issues and they ran out of money.
Yes. So we must, I saw him there too, and I told him, I said, well, let me reach out to you. I can't make promises, but maybe there's some grant money that's available that you could apply for to help your cause, so.
And other than that, they have to go to dump.
That's a big hit for those.
Okay. Wow.
at least we still got the BP in Plattsburgh.
All right, so no other new business. citizen engagement, you're not here since you're the commissioner, but
I found it very interesting and I appreciate the invitation as to find out about Reedville Sanitary District. I mean, it's in my district and planning commission, and so, you know, the more information we can all share, the better off we all are, and the better job we can do for the county.
Amen.
thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so at 7:10, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.